A warm welcome to Anuradha Vedic Astrology. Today we are going to talk about a very interesting topic of ancient martial art forms and astrology. So please hold on to your seats. But before that, a big thanks to all of you for liking, sharing, and subscribing to our YouTube and Spotify channels and writing in your comments and suggestions there. If you haven't subscribed to us, please do. And do remember to press the bell icon so that you can get the updates ASAP. We welcome on board Guruji Pashupati. So, Pranam Guruji, big welcome to you.
Thank you.
You will be understanding what Guruji has to deliver by the way he talks to you, but just a small introduction. He is from a lineage wherein he's one of the pillars of that lineage, and he teaches 6 forms of yoga. Not only that, there are 44 forms of martial arts that he is allowed, or rather should I say he is asked to teach. So most of you would be wondering as to what does martial art have to do with this astrology channel. Well, I have always believed that the ancient sciences are all interconnected, and today we will be hearing from Guruji how this martial art forms are connected to astrology. A warm welcome to you, Guruji.
Thank you.
So, Guruji, as you heard me, I have always believed that the ancient art forms that we have been studying, astrology, sciences, so many other things that we have studied, they're all interconnected. And I have also felt it like that. Today, I request you to let us know how these martial art forms that you teach, 44 of them, are they connected? And while we're at it, you have your own academy, you run an NGO. So how does all of this come together?
All right. So let's start at the beginning, when our ancestors wrote the Vedas.
Right.
So at this point of time, imagine life. You only have nature around you. There are no machines, no industrialization, no television, no cell phones, no electricity.
Right.
So the night, something magnificent always comes on top of us. Nowadays, because of our lifestyle, we don't see it because we have a roof on our head. But the ancestors who wrote the Vedas, they would just see that the sun is going down and then there are all these stars and planets coming up.
Right.
So surely there is some kind of connection that we automatically feel just by looking at it. And also the feel of the day changes. As soon as the sun goes down, it starts getting colder. And so we started to feel these major magnetic, electromagnetic energy shifts. And by studying it, we are sensitive to all these things. Nowadays, we don't have our senses. Our senses are very much limited.
Right.
And the more we use our mobile, the more our senses are going to get limited to a small range of phenomena. Like if somebody comes on your roof also, you will not know because you're in the mobile. That's how we have now become. We are ignoring our senses. But remember, these people, their senses were fully awakened and they could clearly see the influence of 9 planets on us. That means, how does the sun influence my mood? How does it influence my hormones? How does it influence my strength, energy, and my appetites? And all of these things we started to notice as we came under the influence. Then they started noticing, wow, when the sun is in this Rashi, these kind of things are happening only to these kind of people. So then they realized maybe it has to do with the time of their birth. Okay. So that's how I imagine that our ancestors would have been connected. So when the rishis wrote down the Shastras, Hora Shastras, and also every other Shastra that we have, they could not write it without the influence of these 9 planets. In fact, it's so important. Along with the 5 elements like Agni, and especially 3 elements are very important: Agni, Vayu, and Apas, water.
Jal, water, yes.
So these 3 elements influence us so much, and even the earth, we are standing on the earth and the sky is above us. So we started understanding that in the sky element there is so much information, so much electromagnetic information, microwave radiation. We can feel all of that going on. So we started thinking, we started understanding through the meditation that something is executing, and they call that word karma. Karma is coming through the ripening and the movement of these 9 planets. And somehow that is causing us, it is making internal changes inside us, because there is a universe within us which is also fully electromagnetic. And there is a universe outside us which is also fully electromagnetic. We are definitely, you know, that when two electromagnetic signals meet, they kind of interfere with each other.
Yes.
And they started to feel these waves of energy. And various people gave it various names in various cultures, but in Indian culture we have certain terminology, and we follow a certain taxonomy for everything. And
Yes.
so we continued with that. So anyone who's studying any ancient Indian art will get connected to the science of astrology in some place or the other, because we cannot discount this as part of us. We say, if you want your destiny, if you want to understand your destiny, there are one, two, three, four things that have to be in place. One is your mind, your internal universe, your mind and emotions. Second is your body, physical body, right? So internally, you can even call it soul, whatever it is, what we have inside. I prefer to stick to mind and body because it's easy to understand. And then Agni is there. Agni is, there are metabolic fires happening in every cell of a body.
Yes.
In their deep meditation, they could see that. There are two kinds of Agni which are mentioned in the Vedas, two major kinds. There are two major kinds, Swaha and Swadha.
Yes.
Swaha is the Agni which grows, which cooks things together and makes it a new thing. So new creation.
Yes.
Swadha is the one which breaks it down. Okay, so there is body, there's mind, there's Agni, and the fourth one is the planets, the Navagraha. When all these things work together, then you can say that is my destiny. And so each of them has its own play. For example, a very good way to understand this is, I in Goa, I met one guy, from France. He was doing some very good in the sea. So he put the sails, and the sail took him very much into the sea, almost 2 kilometers. I saw him; he became a small dot. But then a very astonishing thing happened. The wind direction was same, but he came back. So against the direction of what's going on, he came back. Right? So
Yeah.
these three things, your mind, your body, and Agni, can be used along with the Navagraha. We can't change the rolling of
The
the
planets.
planets. They are just on their way. Like, it is beyond our human capacity to do anything about them. But what we do with that tide, what we do with that energy, that is all up to our body, mind, and our Agni. So in martial arts, we train the body, mind, and the Agni so that we can withstand the various tides and currents that are coming from the planets. That's how it is.
And these 44 forms. So which of the planet is basically most important when we're talking about martial arts?
So for martial arts, the closest planet for us is the sun and the moon. They're very much having the highest influence on our body and mind.
Right.
And then the 7 other planets, Rahu, Ketu, which Western science doesn't approve of, but it's there. Its influence is there. They might find it out later. A lot of things that we said, including that the Earth is round, have been found out later
Yes.
by the Western science.
Eons
And
later. Yes. Yes.
when they find out about Rahu and Ketu, also we'll have to listen to their word for it. Our word is Rahu and Ketu. It's already there. Okay, so there's Rahu and Ketu and the 5 major planets like Mercury, Mars, Venus, Saturn,
Saturn
and
and Jupiter.
Guru.
Yes. Guruji, when we're talking about, say, Mars, which is supposed to be also a very fighter kind of a planet, so
Mm.
does it get channelized when we're talking about these martial arts? Because it can create a lot of havoc, a lot of enormous, fighting spirit, which is unnecessary sometimes. So does having understanding a martial form create some awareness and something correctivity that you were telling me about, that we come with those 9 planets in our kundli? That's is what we have. But our, as you told me in your words, was our entire work is to get the grace of these 9 planets. So how do we get the grace of these 9 planets, including of Mars, when we are talking about martial arts?
Yes. So when we talk about Mangal, Mars, what happens is that it raises our spirits. It is not only for fighting; it is also for all the very strong positive emotions that we have.
Right.
For example, patriotism. For example, being loyal to your family, protecting your family. It's
Family,
not
yes.
fighting, you know. No, you
Yes.
have to take care of your kids and you have to take care of the old people. So all of these emotions are coming from Mars. So we have to know which is which and how to use it. We have to have that wisdom.
Hmm.
It's like any complicated system. If you want to operate in any complicated system, for example, even driving a car is a very complicated system. There is the brakes, there is the clutch, there is the gear, and there's the steering wheel. Four things you have to already start to coordinate. Just because accelerator is there, we don't have to always press it.
Right.
Same thing with Mars. Just because Mars energy is there doesn't mean we always have to express it.
Right. Yes.
So we have to know with whom to say how much. So that is why our bhavana matters a lot. How we feel towards other people. This we have to perfect. If we don't perfect our mind and we start developing strength, then we'll misuse the strength. So before we develop strength, we have to develop our mind and our sense of appropriateness with whom to behave how. We should know this. This is called culture. We should
Right.
have samskaras.
Yes.
Yeah.
And fine, as I move, was intrigued by a martial art form, though there are 44 forms that you teach. But one form that I was told about and I came to know about is the danda, where you use a certain wooden instrument for a
Mm.
person to use during a certain periods of time and do a martial art with, and that kind of cleans away a person's aura, that kind of cleans away, stabilizes a person. So how does that work?
So our ancestors always worked first with the wood because it's a living thing. And then they started moving from there, they would move to metal weapons. So always using a wood, like for example, this is one of the things, right?
Right.
If you are using this wood, the handle is here, but the weight is not where you're holding it. The weight is outside. So already my hand is kind of strained on this side just to hold this, even though his weight is not much. His weight might be 1 kilo. But to hold it, I have to use now my shoulder muscles, I have to use my stomach muscles, I have to use my whole body to control this. So it gives you the feeling of an opponent's hand. It gives you the feeling of the struggle which we feel when we are fighting
Right.
against some other human being. So that is why always training with this is very basic and in any martial art. So I know 44 martial arts not only from India, I know it from many countries, including Russian martial arts, African martial arts, Filipino martial arts, Japanese, Chinese. So I've done a lot of traveling and I've learned a lot. But uh, when we start training martial arts, it's very important to have this wooden kind of clubs because that will give you superior strength. People, for example, like Maharana Pratap, he could cut a person and his horse. I think he cut one of the Mughals or one of the invaders. He cut him right down the center with his sword. So then I went to Udaipur Palace and I checked like uh, how how big was his sword. His sword is 40 kilos. So how do you train to lift such a heavy thing? You start with wood and you become so strong and you become so powerful. And he was also a yogi. He was being trained by a giri yogi, which is one of my sampradayas, and he was being trained by him. So these all are coming from the Himalayas. All of this knowledge is, the source of it is there.
So we see that, and so we do, like as you said, you are also teaching 6 forms of yoga. This is just a beginning and an prelude to what we can continue further in our episodes, in our videos. So one of the things that you told me was that I also teach something called Chandra um, Namaskar. So we've always heard about Surya Namaskar. It is something that we, in India especially, which even a child would know that Surya Namaskar is one of the most beneficial forms of yoga, where at least it helps you maintain your vitality. What if you could just point out about the Chandra Namaskar to us?
Sure. So the source of Chandra Namaskar is this goddess called Bala Tripura Sundari,
Okay.
and she taught the sciences of immortality, and in that Chandra Namaskar is one of the things which she taught. It is part of a whole set of exercises called Yoga Vyayama, and in Yoga Vyayama we also not only have Chandra Namaskar. You'll be interested to know that there is a Namaskar for every planet. Uh,
So this
so
is what we're
there
talking
are
about.
9 namaskars in total,
Right.
but Surya Namaskar became very popular
Right.
because that's the only thing that survived. There was a systematic destruction of our knowledge. Our universities were burnt down. Our gurus were hunted down and killed as
Right.
soon as the invaders came in various forms, right? The British, though, they did it like very systematically. They found the gurus, they made them an offer to stop teaching. If they didn't take the offer, they killed them. So this happened a lot. So a lot of this knowledge went underground. The gurus didn't die. The martial art gurus will not die. They'll never die. They will, at least not at the hands of somebody who's not studied so much. They'll die at the hands of a worthy opponent. This is
Right.
also important for us. We don't want to die with somebody who's not more skilled than us.
Yeah.
So uh, the gurus went underground, and all of this knowledge was preserved, and now it's coming back up. That's it. That's what is going on in this world.
This is a it's opening an entire it's just opening an entire box for us, and a new dimension that when if you are doing a Chandra Namaskar and somebody has a problematic moon
Mhm.
somewhere, it does strengthen the moon, it strengthens the mind and the system relating to the moon. Does it also affect the lymphatic system? Just a question, a curious question.
Yeah, no, it affects all of the systems which move according to the moon, especially the hormonal system.
System.
So the hormonal system is responding a lot to the sun and the moon both.
Right.
But specifically for women, it responds a lot to the moon. Men's hormonal system responds more to the sun. Our cycles are daily, but ladies' reproductive cycle is monthly. So
Right.
it's going according to the moon cycles. Anything that changes monthly and changes according to the seasons, all of those things we get protection from simply because the moon is pleased with us. It's not a concept I can explain to a Western audience very easily, but we understand grace. You know, when somebody is pleased with you, like you have some workers and they've done a very good job, you give them an extra tip because they did a very good job. That's called grace.
Right.
It's the same thing when we do the Chandra Namaskar with the right bhavana. The moon is pleased with our acknowledgement, our praise, our connection. And we look at even the moon, and in India, we look at even inanimate objects as having um, Shiva inside them. You know, some kind of uh,
Energies, especially, which will help us, which can bless us and can help us transform ourselves. Yes.
consciousness.
Consciousness. Yes.
So when we are pleased with the moon, then the moon will make an exception for you. Even though it's in your chart that this is not a very good time for you, you will be protected. You'll come out of it without harm. Maybe you don't get that much of uh,
Affluent energy. Yes. Yes.
growth at that time. You won't grow so much, but certainly you'll not be harmed. You'll come out with minimum losses because you're practicing Chandra Namaskar. So it's like that.
It's been so intriguing to know about these things. We'll continue further in another episode with Guruji. But do write in your suggestions, do write in your comments, and do let us know which planet you would like to know more about. Till we meet with you, stay safe. Thank you so much, Guruji.
Please hit the
Thank
bell
you.
icon for fresh updates. Don't forget to like, share, and comment on the videos, and please subscribe to our channel.